Welcome back to another episode of the Fit Dad Club podcast. We are back. I'm here with Jason Barrett. Jace, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing really good. I got back into the gym for the first time, not yesterday, the day before, to do an advanced version of my rehab exercises, including some back extension work, which, to be honest, felt good. It's hard to understate how good it is to be in like a gym environment as opposed to doing exercises at home, for me especially. Just the motivation to actually do them and stick with them, and just like, because you're at home, you've got some, your emails going off, you've got messages coming through, you're like, oh yeah, I'll just reply to this thing, and then it's like 6 minutes and now you're no longer warm for the exercise you were doing. So cannot understate how good that has been. How about you, Trav? What's been going on?
No, well, it's like 4 weeks out as of this weekend from the Gold Coast marathon. I have another staph infection that started this week, so I'm pretty screwed, to be honest, like tide-wise. Just trying to manage it, to be honest. This sort of recurring staph infection, I might go and try and get some IV vitamin drip or something like that, just to try and get over it. Something that's quite frustrating. Haven't really had that in my life. I feel like my 39th year of my life, which I turn 40 next month, has been one of some crazy health stuff over this last year, other than running myself over in my car. I've had my appendix out. I've had staph like probably 9 times in the last year. That just keeps coming back. So I am doing the bare minimum, but I think I'll probably try and, the goal is a 3-hour 20 full marathon. I don't think I'm going to hit it with my training coming up to this marathon. I think I'll try and manage a 3:30 marathon without blowing out. My Ks just haven't been enough, but I did get off the waiting list for the Melbourne Marathon.
Nice. So
I think I'll hopefully get rid of this staph and then have a good 12-week lead up to that and just sort of chop off another 10 minutes and get under the 3-hour 20 for the Melbourne Marathon. Even though it's not flat, I think I'll be able to do it. I just need a good run of training.
There's uphills and there's downhills. It's both.
Exactly, it's life. But guys, today we're going to talk about 10 habits that will change your life. And this isn't just fitness. This is 10 habits that I think everyone should incorporate. And, I have them as things that I always try and work towards. I know, Jace, you do as well. And I think, not saying that anyone is perfect, but I think if you can try and incorporate these habits into your life, you'll constantly be progressing. And I think that's the main thing, is trying to become the better version of you. And I think these habits really sort of give us a good foundation, I would say, to be that best version of you. The first habit, obviously, this is the Fit Dad Club podcast, and the first habit that I believe it will change your life is prioritizing your health, right? Like, it doesn't matter anything. Like, becoming the healthiest version of you or becoming the best version of you inside your health, it's going to optimize your energy. It's going to optimize your emotions or mood regulation. It's going to allow you to be on this planet for longer, right? And at the end of the day, we want to be on here in a healthy way, not just be on here for longer, but be on here for longer in a way where you can play with your grandkids. Maybe you can see your great grandkids. I don't know. But you're going to have a better quality of life. And I think that is a big thing. It allows you to have better and deeper relationships with your kids and your grandkids as well. And I think it allows you to progress forward in your work and allows you to progress forward in your relationships by prioritizing your health. So I think there is so many key aspects, obviously, to becoming the healthiest version of you. And this doesn't mean you have to run marathons or lift 500 kilos or anything crazy. All it means is just, it's a priority in your life. When we look at the 3 big goals or 3 big roles you play, which is your health, your love life, and your work life, it is a priority. It's not put on the back burner. And I think it's crucial that we all have somewhat of a priority. That's why it is the key habit number 1, where we look at 30 minutes a day of moving, prioritizing protein, not overindulging in foods or alcohol. It's eating towards satisfaction, not gluttony, and not also eating towards emotions. And I think, that's essentially the big things when I look at prioritizing our health and just moving more. What about yourself, Chase?
Yeah, I mean, a big one for me obviously has been, when it comes to my health, for me, it's been mobility health, and that's been like a huge one, and injury prevention and that kind of stuff. And I would kind of bundle in health and longevity together, because you have, the healthier you are, the longer you'll live too, and that comes down to, you know, a bit more resistance training, making sure you're getting the bone density and the muscle mass, so you don't, you know, fall over at 65 and then you can't get back up off the floor. But just, this is like, prioritizing your health should be what, like, your maintenance plan / your day-to-day life looks like. If you're a guy who's currently on a fat loss journey, right, prioritizing your health does mean losing that excess body fat. But then it's like, well, once I've done that, and this is something I'm doing kind of at the moment, in that I haven't tracked my food for the last like 4 weeks. I haven't gone to the gym for the last 6 weeks, except for that one time 2 days ago. My walking has probably been a bit more limited than I'd like it to be, given that we have had a torrential downpour here. But I got back into walking today with Imi, which has been good. But just by managing my food and keeping my food kind of in the lines, and, you know, even though I had a couple of nights where we had some stuff that's not ideal, I'm the exact same fucking weight. I'm still 74, 75 kilos. Like, as I was 6 weeks ago. That's because I keep track of that. I keep tabs on that. And I'm not like, ooh, I feel bad, I'm not going to weigh myself for a week just because I feel like it might be rough, and then it just blows out. I've got that awareness of it. But if you've already lost that fat, or you're looking to lose that fat, and then afterwards, prioritizing your health is basically what your maintenance plan looks like, right? Just getting a bit more movement in, prioritizing your protein, not being too emotionally charged with your food, and having better ways. And we'll talk a little bit more about mindset later on, but having better ways to deal with stress than food, and deal with your emotions. And yeah, for me, the big one is just adding in, like, with better movement and more movement comes better and more mobility. So as Trev's saying, it's not about lifting 500 kilos or killing yourself to do a marathon, but it's like, can you move well? Like, can you get down on the floor and get back up off the floor? Do your joints not creak and crack? And do you get off the toilet and then your back spasms and you can't fucking walk for a week, right? Like, these are things you need to address if they're coming up. But if you prioritize your health as like a focus, and don't let, and the amount of guys that I've had that come to me like, oh, work is just getting really hectic, so I haven't been prioritizing my health. It's like, if you're not going to prioritize your health, well, fucking when are you going to do it? Because I've said this before, life's always going to be busy. There's going to be kid stuff. There's going to be wife stuff, life stuff. It all happens. You're telling me that your work, your job, is more important to you than your health, right? But the healthier you are, the easier it is to deal with the stress of your job. So that's why prioritizing your health is number one.
Exactly. You become a better dad, you become a better partner. You do obviously maintain your energy, and you deal with stress better when you prioritize your health. So I would say, like, for us, self-care, like, that's what it is. It's self-care. Prioritizing your health is the number one. It's like, no, I got to put my kids first. It's like, well, you got to put yourself first. You do. And that doesn't mean you don't spend time with your kids. I'm going to the gym for 3 hours. It's understanding how to optimize your health. And if it could be like 30 minutes for some people, it could be 15 minutes some days for some people. But within the constraints that you have, you aren't one-dimensional inside the health regime. You're not just running, and all you do is run, because then you're going to lead to injury. Then you're going to lead to, strength issues. You're going to lead to, honestly, you're still going to gain body fat if you're running and not prioritizing your nutrition. But you're also not just lifting as heavy as you possibly can, and you're going all in with your ego, so you can't move properly. Then you get back issues. Then you get other issues, or you're just putting on weight because you're trying to become stronger. So I think when we're looking at our health, when we do prioritize our health, we have to look at it. It's like, are you cardiovascular fit where you can do the things you want to do with your kids? Are you strong enough that you can also, if that bookshelf falls on you, you can push it off, and you can get up and down. Is your mobility okay? Can you sit on the ground and cross your legs without having to lay back and like you're cramping up because you can't even sit on the ground with your children for more than 2 minutes before you start feeling sore? It's like, you're looking at, and then are you eating for performance, or you're eating for emotional stability? I think, like, a lot of us, eat on the daily for emotional stability, because that's what gives us joy, when in reality, you should enjoy your food, but it shouldn't be the thing you look forward to for the joy in your day. So it's a big difference there. So I think when we're looking at it, a prioritization of health encompasses all those 4 things, and moving the levers slightly forward in each of them. And, if you have a discrepancy in one of them at the moment, may it be your mobility, or maybe it is your strength or cardiovascular, or it is just your weight in general, then you have to focus on one of the levers slightly more than the other. So instead of maybe it is weight, okay, we really have to dive into nutrition, okay, because that's going to be the key indicator to losing weight. And we don't have to focus as much on the fitness side of things, but you still need to focus on 15 to 30 minutes a day, right? That's going to be the bare minimum. So we have these standards across our health, but then in times throughout our life, other things inside those standards become more of a priority. I think it's just prioritizing your health, but then prioritizing the priorities inside that as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's making health, and there's a concept in NLP known as values, which is just basically what is important to us in life. And it's making health a higher value, something that is more important to you. And that's why when we onboard new guys that are coming on, it's like the first question I ask is, well, why are you doing this? What made you decide now's the fucking time where you're going to get your health in check? Because some guys, it's like, oh, they hit this point where it's just like, oh, it's just a little bit more important to me than some other stuff because I looked in the mirror or the Zoom call and I felt like I looked fat and I didn't like it. But then there's the guys who are like, nah, I got puffed out running after my kids and I was like, nah, this is not the dad I want to be. There's a level of conviction you need to have, and it's just going to be a high value for you. The next one, in terms of habits that will change your life, and this kind of piggybacks on the other one, is following a schedule, right? Having and following a schedule, following a plan is the most valuable thing. And we've talked about this before. Discipline equals freedom. Jocko Willink talks about this. We talk about the big rocks as well. What are the big, most important things in my life? What am I going to be, prioritizing? I've got essentially the big rock of health, the big rock of family, the big rock of work, career, money making, whatever it is. And then what are the other things that then slot in around those? And it's like, well, if something's big and important enough to me, I've got to put it in first, because otherwise your day just gets filled up with random shit, right? Like you just end up doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And it's like, oh, I'm doing this. Oh, but I've got to do that. It's like, and then you don't prioritize, right? So prioritization and scheduling kind of go hand in hand for me, and understanding your values and what's important is what's going to create a schedule for you, right? Because if your priority is work and earning money, well, that's going to dictate a lot of your schedule. That's going to dictate a lot of what you do. And then the other stuff is just going to kind of creep in from time to time. But like prioritizing and then using the language, and this is like the biggest thing for me, using the language of choice as opposed to can't, or like I'm choosing, or I don't have the capacity to also do this, or I'm choosing not to have the capacity to do this. Same thing with money. It's like I'm choosing not to spend money on this rather than I don't have the money, because it's like a lack mentality. But it's also like you do have the money to do certain things. You're just choosing not to because, hey, your choice might be to pay your mortgage instead and put food on the table, but that's still the choice that you're making. And then it's a lot more empowering. Same thing with your time. One of my guys told me the other day, oh, I don't have time to take photos of my food. I'm just so busy. And I'm like, first of all, that's complete fucking bullshit, because unless you are like literally running from appointment A to appointment B, you have the time to snap a photo of your food. It's pressing one button on your fucking phone. It's literally like unless you've got a catheter in and you've got like a colostomy bag and you're shitting and pissing on the run and like you're not that busy. Like in reality, none of us are that busy. Sometimes it just gets a bit overwhelming. It's a bit too much. And you just say, oh, this is too hard. Or you just get like you run around in a tizzy because you don't have a schedule.
I completely agree. At the same time as like when we're looking at a schedule, it's actually seeing at the start of the week and mapping it out, because, shit fills the time we have, right? It just does. It's the same thing as you put something off and you're like, oh, I'll do this if you're on a weekend, right? And you're like, oh, I'll train this afternoon at like 4:00, or I won't train now. Oh, I'll just do the couple of things first. And all of a sudden it's 10:00 and it's 11. Oh, now I'll just go and, take the trash out. Oh, now I'll just go and clean the room. And now all of a sudden it gets to like 7:00 at night. You didn't train because all of a sudden just shit happened. Right? Because time, the void gets filled, right? There is so many things to do. But instead, when we look at it, it's using those implementation intentions, like we've talked about so many times, where we give our training, which is a priority in our life, time and a place to live. So it's like I'm training on Monday at 6 a.m. at XYZ gym and doing legs, right? So you're giving it a specific time and place to live, and what you're doing inside your schedule, put it in your Google Calendar, get notifications, set it up so you get reminded 30 minutes before. So it just keeps you on track. You can schedule in what foods you're eating on nights of the weeks for dinner, so you can, prep ahead of time or shop ahead of time. So you're not, one, wasting money, two, having pointless conversations about what's for dinner. It's scheduling when can you do some cardio, when you're going to get your steps in, scheduling in when you're at work, batching tasks together. So you're not going from a sales call to a marketing meeting back to another, like batch things together because we're in the mindset of doing a specific task. If we keep going and chopping and changing between tasks, we have what's called like a task residue, and we aren't fully focused on what we're doing. And we can't get in the flow either. So like it's using some form of physical calendar or some form of like a Google calendar and blocking it out. Also blocking out time inside that for just shit. Like it's blocking out for like, these are the fires. Now, it's obviously when you're like in business or anything like that, like fires are going to happen. Things are going to happen that are outside your control. When you're at home, things are going to happen outside your control as well. So it's not blocking out your calendar back to back to back to back and thinking that nothing's ever going to come and throw you a jab when you weren't expecting. It's like batch tasks together, then have a bit of 30 minutes here or 60 minutes there so you can catch back up, and then putting out the fires and then getting back on track. It's actually using a calendar for the good. So when we're batching our tasks, it allows us to stay focused and it allows us to stay on track. It's not using a calendar. Again, it's living by design and not by default, as we always talk about. Because if not, you might go, I've got to do these 5 things today or 7 things today. You only ever do 3 because you didn't actually put the task in your diary and allow the task the amount of time it actually takes. If you go on a train and you have to train at a gym and you know your training session is 60 minutes, did you give yourself the 20 minutes before and 20 minutes after to drive there or not? Did you, if you're training at home, did you allow the time that it takes for your kids to come in and out for your training sessions if you are interrupted? But you have to understand what time it's going to take you to do a task, schedule it in, create reminders in there, and then follow forward. I think this is, and also understand your constraints. I think this is one of the biggest things that holds so many guys back, is not following a strict enough schedule to give them the freedom then to have downtime. Because if not, you're never having downtime because you're constantly doing stuff because you're always busy and not productive.
Yeah, there's a big difference between activity and productivity, and you can be really, really productive in a very short amount of time, but a lot of people mistake the two. And that's a big thing with when working from home first became a thing, everyone's like, oh, but what if people aren't working all the time? It's like, well, if they've got KPIs and they've got things that they need to achieve and they hit and achieve those things, well, what's the issue, right? If they feel like they've got capacity, cool, we can give them more stuff. Yeah, that's great. But as long as people are hitting the targets that they need, that's what matters. And it's the same thing for you. As long as you're getting the job done and having the awareness of your calendar and the constraints within it is so valuable, because you set yourself up for failure when you tell yourself, I'm going to hit the gym 3 times this week and I'm going to do these hour-long workouts that I've got. And as Trav's saying, it's like, if I've got an hour break in my calendar, I know I'm fucking hard-pressed to get a full session in, because my call finishes, let's say, at 9 o'clock. I'm like, all right, I've got until 10 o'clock before I've got to be on my next call. I've got to write my notes from the last call, make sure that, I send through whatever I need to send through. All right, where's my shoes? Am I dressed for the gym? Am I dressed for for at home? Do I need to change my shirt? Okay, chuck on a singlet, get the guns out, grab my gym bag, put on my shoes, walk to the gym. Is going to take, for me, it's about, 7 to 10 minutes. Get in there, if I put my bag down, oh shit, I really need to pee. At that point in time, it's been 20 minutes. Right? I've got 40 minutes left to do the workout and get home and get in the right headspace for a call. So if I set myself up for failure by expecting I'm going to get that 1 hour workout in and, saying, this is what I'm going to do, otherwise I've let my coach down, otherwise I'm not hitting my goal, I can then reallocate my thinking and just go, I'm going to get maybe 20 minutes or half an hour workout in. I'm just going to, rather than starting this big long workout with all these individual exercises, I'm going to do 5 sets of bench press. Then I'm going to do 5 sets of rows separately. It's like, no, I'm going to do fucking bench press, then rows, and I'm going to do sit-ups. I'm going to do that in a circuit until my timer goes off and I have to go home. It's like, that's it. Then that's like, cool, I fucking smashed myself and I did something because I had awareness of my schedule, because I had awareness of, as Joe was saying, the residual time around those things. This is the reason why you don't back to back yourself, because there's always a little bit of friction in between tasks. There's always things that go wrong and happen. And if you're a business owner, you know that there's fucking infinite things that can just crash and go crazy and shit happens, right? And that's life. But if you're not aware of it, if you bury your head in the sand, and I've found this with people, well, bury their heads in the sand about problems because they just don't want to face them and look at them. Because if it's like a kid with a fucking blanket over their head. If I can't see you, you're not there. But you are. The problems are there. You have to look at your bank account, even if it's in the negative. You have to look at the scale, even if it's in a number that you don't like. And you have to look at your schedule, even if it seems fucked, right? You've got to take a look at these things and bring attention to them if you're ever going to change them.
Exactly. And I think it's also understanding your days, right? Like when you're looking at, and this is why I like weekly scheduling of tasks. So some people have busier days than others. It's just like when we're prioritizing our training or looking at when we are going to train, for me personally, I know that a day like today is a mobility day for me, and Tuesdays is a running day for me. And it's because Tuesdays and Thursdays are my longer days with face-to-face meetings and coaching. I coach for about 8.5 hours today, face-to-face with clients. And I have a podcast with Jace, obviously. I have two coaching calls that go for an hour each for some business consulting. So I have a good probably 12 hours of work or 13 hours of work today. And if I try and slam training in there, I am 100% not in the headspace to give 100% to my training. And then I also see it as a chore because I'm trying to rush it and fit it in. So I won't feel good training. I'll feel like crap. So if I know if I've got like 24 minutes that I put in today for my mobility, then like this is a great mobility day and this is where I schedule it. I'm still doing something to prioritize my health as we talked about earlier, but I'm not trying to slam in a massive run or a big strength session. Like my bigger runs are my Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, Sundays. It's when I have more time that's open for that. And then that's when I also put in my strength training, and my mobility days are also my Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I try and like do shorter mobility. I'm trying to do it daily now so I don't get injured. But I just understand the constraints of the days within my week as well, and prioritizing what I do on those days when I'm looking at my health. So I don't feel always rushed. I hate feeling rushed all the time. And a lot of people feel rushed every moment of their day because they're not allocating resources correctly across their week. And I think that's a big thing. Yeah. It's just allocating the resources across your week ahead of time rather than just looking at what do I have to do tomorrow and we're constantly scheduling just a day in advance. Like schedule your week a week in advance. And then as the next day comes upon, all you're doing is just shuffling because something might happen. So you have to shuffle your day around a little bit, but you don't have to recreate your whole day. We know what our priorities are for the week on a Sunday, schedule it out. And then on a Wednesday, something might have happened. So you just have to reschedule Thursday a little bit out. But other than that, you should just sort of follow the plan, schedule the plan, follow the plan. And then it's moving forward to see how did you execute the plan.
Exactly. And piggybacking off that, you schedule out your plan. You take a look at it. And then number 3 is looking at reflecting weekly, taking the look backwards and going, how did I do? And this is, it's the analogy here is if you've ever watched Formula One, and obviously Formula One's gotten really big because of Drive to Survive and all that stuff. But the biggest thing with Formula One is how much they talk about, oh, they're bringing upgrades to this, we're bringing upgrades to that. And there was a team last year, I think it was last year or the year before, McLaren, that started fucking dog shit, like 19th and 20th. They were last on the grid. They were absolutely shit. They had 2 great drivers, but it was horrible. And then by mid-year, they were contending in like the top 8 of cars because they brought the upgrades, because they brought the feedback, because they tried the different setups and they just improved and improved. And if you set a plan and you didn't look at it again or change anything for 16 weeks and didn't look at your results, and then you got to the end and you were unhappy with your results, that's on you for not reflecting and not being aware of, well, what went well, what didn't go well, what needs to change, and how can I improve? Those are 4 great questions you can ask yourself on a weekly basis, on a Sunday, before you plan the next week. Because there's no point in just planning and say, well, I'm just going to try harder this week. Well, no, let's look back at, well, what didn't go well? Oh, fuck, I forgot about this plan that was going on, or I didn't feel motivated, or I felt like shit because, I was just saying, I felt rushed, or I didn't get my workout in time. So I might see if I can do some shorter workouts more frequently, and maybe that'll help me out a little bit more. Or I realized I went to bed late a couple of these days. All right, I've got to make sure that I limit myself to half an hour, watching TV or whatever it is at the end of the night. Or I've got to make sure that I switch my phone off by this time. And whatever it is, you can look backwards and go, what went well, what didn't go well. And we do this constantly. For me, it's often about getting dinner ready on time. And we made a reflection. We had a reflection like, all right, well, I'm cooking dinner every night and it takes up a lot of time and it makes things feel a bit rushed. So now we've pivoted to every night I'll cook enough so that we then have the same dinner the next night. So we do leftovers, right? I just cook a bigger batch. And then I only have to cook now every second night. It's essentially halved the amount of cooking that I have to do, which is awesome, right? That's a huge win for me. That frees up like so much more of my evenings, bathing Imi and being able to play with her and stuff. So by taking time, if we didn't take time and look back and go, hey, how come this week felt so stressful? Fuck, I was cooking a lot, or I didn't leave myself enough time. If I had to film like a real dad dinner, I didn't leave myself enough time to get set up, and then we ended up having dinner late, and then Emmy got cranky. All of that stuff that flows on, you've got to bring awareness to that. And if you don't reflect and you just blindly set the next week up, you're not learning anything. You're not improving anything. You're not getting any better. And you're not getting, you're just not getting better in terms of your life. You're not constantly going to be improving. So you might get like 50% of the way there by the end of your program. But if you iterated and you reflected and tracked and looked back on what went well, what can I improve every week, you could get like 150%. You could get like triple the amount of results by simply continuing to grow and continuing to almost like reinvest, right? If you're thinking about like a compound interest account, something like that.
I think when we look at it, it's like, if we get to reflect daily, it's 350 times. We have, reflect weekly, it's 52 times here. We get chances to be better. Monthly, it's 12 times. Quarterly, it's 4 times. Like, if we're only reflecting 4 times a year or once a year when we do our New Year's resolutions, we're definitely not going to achieve them. I think, but that's what a lot of people do. I think growth can't come without reflection. Like it just can't. So it's the cornerstone of going, what am I doing correctly right now that is taking my life in the direction that I want to take it? What am I doing right now that is not sending me on the trajectory that I think that the future me, I want them to be? And it's like cutting away the crap or, cutting away the constraints or the lag factors in your life and starting to, optimize those things that are pulling you forward, cutting off the 20% holding you back, adding to the 20% that's pulling you forward and continuing to double down on that. And I think the daily reflection is a good thing just as a point of a mindset point of view, which we'll talk about next. And it's just reflecting with a bit of gratitude, but also going, okay, well, I reflect today, what went well, did I execute? And, if things didn't do 100%, I kind of write them down, but I write them down on the daily basis purely so I can reflect bigger and when I look at my weekly reflection, because we can't remember everything. If we're reflecting on a Sunday on how the week went, like, man, I forget like what I had for breakfast, let alone what happened on Tuesday when I wasn't optimizing my day. But if something was slightly off plan, or if I reflect, and you got to reflect not just whether you hit your plan, reflect on how it made you feel. I think like we don't ever reflect emotionally either. So it's like, what, I was off a bit here, and I reflect on my health, I reflect on my work, and I reflect on my relationship. And it's just like little bits here. It's like, what, I was being a dick to live, and I think this is why. And then I can reflect a bit bigger point around it on the weekly. And then when I look at that weekly reflection, because I have my daily ones and I see if I can make any improvements, and then I look at my weekly reflection, and that gives me that chance to project forward into the next week. Because I have my quarterly goals that I'm trying to go towards. And if my goal is to lose half a kilo a week, let's just say we're looking at a fat loss point of view, over 13 weeks, I lose, 6.5, 7 kilos in this quarter. And then it's like, am I on track? No. Then it's like, okay, we need to go, did I hit my calories? Did I hit my movement? Yes. Okay, cool. This point of reflection allowed me to then go, I need to create a further deficit to actually make sure I'm on track to hit my goals. Okay, then I create the further deficit. Am I on track to hit my marathon time? Am I on track to do what A, B, and C, whatever it is? Am I on track to create a deeper and more loving relationship with my wife? You can put some constraints, you can put some focuses around that. How many times did you bitch at your wife or nag your wife about something this week? Count them up, right? Or how many times were you positive to your wife this week? Like you actually were positive. Like count those up. Maybe that's part of your weekly reflection and projection as well, to create a more focused and intimate and loving relationship. And I think when we reflect quarterly, you can ask your partner this. It's like, for us to feel even closer and for us to have a deeper relationship over the next quarter, what's one thing that you would like me to stop doing, or what's one thing you'd like me to try and improve? And you can have that conversation. And then they tell you, then it's top of mind awareness for you. And you just reflect on that weekly. Am I doing the thing that my partner said that she thinks that I can do that will have a better relationship? And you do it. And all of a sudden, your relationship becomes better because you actively listened and then you tried to put it in there. I think it's the monthly reflection and there's the quarterly reflection. But I think it all comes down to just looking over the shoulder and having a bit of understanding, like, am I doing what I said I was going to do? Yes, no. And did I want, I could have overcommitted sometimes as well. And it's like, okay, well, I need to dial it back a little bit. Or where do I need to grow? Maybe you don't have the education around some parts of your life where you're trying to grow. It's like, well, maybe I need more resources, and that resources being education, resources being time. I need to, going back, I need to follow a better schedule about doing this. But without reflection, we don't know any of this.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, that kind of leads me on to, I want to skip one for a moment and go to the next one for me, which is always have goals, right? Because as Trav's saying, if you've got goals that you're working towards, you've got reflection points along the way, the monthly, quarterly, half yearly, where you can just take a look and zoom out at the big macro picture, because you can get caught up in, and this is a problem for a lot of people, you get caught up in two things. You either get caught up in the big picture, you're like, oh, I've got plenty of time to get it done, right? I've got the whole year to make this goal happen. So as a result, you get a bit slack. Or sometimes you could be a bit hard on yourself if, let's say, the last week or so hasn't been going well, and you're not doing a bigger picture, like macro reflection on, let's say, a monthly or a quarterly basis. You can go, oh, fuck, business is going shit because you had like 2 cancellation requests and it's been a slow week. And you go, oh, fuck, business is going shit. And you can get real like in the weeds with it. And then you go, all right, well, let's look at our quarter. You might be up on the quarter. It could be the best quarter ever from a big picture perspective. But if you haven't taken that time to reflect on that point, then you're not going to have any idea. But this comes back to having goals that you're working towards. Because if you're just tracking numbers and tracking stuff for the sake of tracking stuff, that's why I'm not tracking my food at the moment. Because I'm like, I've got not got a goal that I'm 100% working towards that requires me to have, like, I don't need to be in a surplus to rehab my lower back, right? It's fucking make it worse if I gain too much size. I'm just eating and testing and seeing how do I go, just eating naturally, just doing my thing. But humans are goal seeking. They love progress, and you can only progress towards something, right? It's like you're not making progress if you're walking aimlessly. You're just fucking walking, right? So you need to be progressing towards something. Progress equals happiness, and that progress has to be towards a goal. Happy people have goals. If you've ever felt lost or aimless or down in your life, it's probably because you haven't had a goal. You haven't had something that you're working towards. So even like arbitrary goals, things in fitness for some people, it might be like, I want to get a pull-up, or I want to get 5 pull-ups, or I want to deadlift 200 kilos, or I want to be able to run 5Ks in under 20 minutes, or whatever the goal is. Like having something to work towards. Like I was fucking motivated when I was like trying to get a lower and lower and lower 5K time. Like I was really motivated for that. And that's something I'm definitely going to get back into once I've got like all my ducks in a row and I'm feeling like confident that I'm not going to do anything silly. And like I could probably get back into it right now, but for now I'm just, I'm focusing on one aspect. I am motivated to get my back rehab in, but there's a lot less tactile response of like, oh, I can get 10 millimeters deeper on my, hip flexor stretch today. It's just not quite as motivating, but you've got to have goals.
Sexy.
Yeah, it's not sexy. And even so, it's like, am I actually getting any deeper? Like, pull the tape measure out, honey. How far away from the couch am I? I've got no fucking idea. But goals give us direction. They give us growth. They give us things to improve upon the path. And instead of aimlessly walking around the same goals and the same mountain year after year, it gives you progress. You're climbing towards the peak. You've got measurable progress.
I think that the big thing is so many people live the same year on repeat for 10 years, somewhat 20 years, right? Yeah, your kids are getting older, but you personally are living the same year on repeat. Your health didn't move forward. Your bank balance didn't move forward. Maybe you did buy a house, so you're getting some wealth that way, and you're just paying off your mortgage. But maybe your mortgage is 50 years, so it doesn't really feel like you're going forward with that either. But it's like Groundhog Day, but it's year on year. As you just don't have goals that inspire you to take action. So goals should somewhat push you outside your comfort zone, and your goals can be linked to intrinsic or extrinsic based goals. But I think in everything we always want to have a better version of us with our health, because we prioritize health. We always want to try and improve our one, whether it be financial education or ability to be financially free at a certain time, so we can move forward towards that. And we want to improve our relationships with our kids. So, for us, we look at having holidays with our kids to create experiences. Now, that's for us a goal. It gives us a goal that, okay, we want to knock off these countries over the next X years so we can show our kids what's out there in the world. We want to make sure that we have health goals. So that gives us a saving strategy. We want to make sure that we have a plan with as far as like our house. It's like, okay, this is what we need to do financially. We have a plan as far as, running a this or doing a that or lifting this and for us, again, I'm very family centric. So, I'm looking up like, how can I, be fit and healthy so I can run? Because again, like Jax loves running, Finn does it because we do it. And it's like, where can we go run a 10K together somewhere in Norway, right? There's a half marathon, a marathon at midnight where you're running and it's like daylight, but it's midnight. It's like, where's cool shit we can do around the world that we can link like multiple goals together so we can give our kids experiences where they can see the world and have fun. Right. And we can look back and go, that was fucking cool. And these are goals that light me up. They might not light you up, but I think the biggest thing for you as the listener is what are the goals that light you up? Then they might be 1 year, they might be 5 year, they might be 10 year. And so we're not just living the same year on repeat. And again, like when we do have goals, like Jace was saying before, we kind of, we can't see the forest through the trees sometimes. So you're standing there, you're like, oh, I didn't lose any weight this week. Oh my God, like this is the worst ever. It's like, man, like you've lost on average 1 kilo a week over the last 12 weeks. Like you just didn't lose this week. Like nothing is wrong. Okay. Or you've lost 10 kilos in the last 6 months, right? Man, if you just kept that up, like for the next 18 months, you're going to be 40 kilos down, right? You don't even have 40 kilos to lose. So it's like everyone severely overestimates what they can achieve in 1 year and underestimates what they can achieve in 10. Like when I look at the gyms that we had, right? Like it took me, 1 year to get us to one gym open. And then the next 10 years, we had 22 gyms. Right? Like it's like compounding interest. It would take you to run your first 5 kilometers. It would take you like some people like, I can't do it. Oh my gosh, I can't get my time down. Or your first 10 kilometers. It might take you 12 weeks to get a 10K to actually run a 10K and not be completely puffed. But then the next 12 weeks, you could be running a half marathon and you could be in a respectable time. The next 12 weeks, you could be running like a half marathon under 2 hours. The next 12 weeks, like within a year, you could be running a marathon under 3 hours 30. It's because your every step forward, you're stepping up that staircase towards the top and you're compounding on your previous achievements. So guys, it's like, don't get so overwhelmed with what's happening right now. If you have a long-term picture, like a year picture or a 2-year picture for our health, fitness, relationship, whatever it is, and somewhat bigger for our financial goals, but then we break it down into quarterly benchmarks, and then we break it down into monthly and then weekly benchmarks, it allows you to understand, am I progressing towards my long-term goals? And then you have these benchmarks or markers that you're hitting off, and it's like, yes, I'm on track. Yes, I'm on track. Or if you're off track, it allows you to reflect and then get back on track to make sure you're going to still hit those long-term goals. But guys, happy people have goals. And that is so true. And in life, we want progression, right? We want progression in our work. We want progression in our health. We want progression in our relationships. And, when I say progression in our relationships, we always want, and we always can be, and we always want deeper and more meaningful relationships with our partner.
100%. And compounding, I guess, on the back of being a happy person, in order for you to be a happy person, two of the big emotions that we want you to have is living and focusing on gratitude, especially, and abundance, right? Not looking at the negative. And this comes down to where like your focus goes, right? Where focus goes, energy flows and results show. If you are busy being grateful, you can't be afraid. If you're busy being grateful, you can't be angry, you can't be hurt, you can't be pissed off, you can't be in a lack mentality when you're busy being grateful. When you're focusing on all of the good things in your life and all the things you do have, it becomes impossible to focus on what you don't have, which is what a lot of people do, and why a lot of people are so negative and go down these spiraling loops of, oh, I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this. If you're living with gratitude, right, and the focus is on gratitude, I'm grateful for what I do have, right? Like Trav and I talk about over and over again. Trav's had plenty of reasons why he could have probably been a downer this year with all of the physical things that were going on and all of the freaking car running over him or whatever, and he could be like, oh, why does this always happen to me? I'm just cursed. I shouldn't have picked up that monkey paw from the freaking farmer's market from that gypsy lady. Like, no, like he could be like that. And some people would probably not fault him. Some people on this podcast listening might have gone, fuck, mate, Trav, if I was you, I would have given up, mate. And that's true, that you probably would have. But Trav's focus is on, well, what do I have? What can I do? What am I grateful for? And then focusing on abundance, it's like, well, yeah, this sucks, but okay, cool. It's happened. Whatever it is, it's happened. Life has randomness. What can I do about it, right? Do I need a rest? Do I need to recover? Is it something I can push through and do anyway, regardless, and do a friggin' Spartan race with a broken foot? Like, yeah, there's plenty of things I could do. But and I actually had this conversation with someone. It was random. It was about like trading and looking at like trading and crypto and that kind of stuff. I'm dabbling in that little space. Not financial advice. But he's like, oh man, I really struggled with this one. I realized I did this wrong, and I was like, it sucks, man. But hey, you win. At least you win or learn. He's like, yeah, or you lose. I was like, well, that's the point is, every loss or every quote unquote loss, that's when you learn, right? You learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. If everything is just easy for you the whole time, you never learn how to overcome adversity. You never actually learn more about yourself or more about the world or more about how to overcome them. So every obstacle is an opportunity to become better. There's a book on this called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And it is a great book, and it's a great focus on seeking out those obstacles and overcoming those obstacles being your path to, your essentially your path to a better life, and not thinking the world is out to get you, and the world just is what it is. Like I said, randomness happens. But if you've ever bought a new car, let's say you bought for me, we bought a Holden Captiva, right? That was like a secondhand car I bought after one of mine got written off. I started seeing them everywhere. I started noticing them everywhere. Now, were there magically more Holden Captivas in the world? No, right? But because I had bought one, I was now more aware of them than I ever was before. And all of a sudden, I stopped seeing Kia Rios, which was my car before. I feel like I've never seen one before, but there's still probably more of them around. But because I bought this thing, or because it was brought into my awareness, I focus on it more, I saw it more. It's the same thing with, your failures, or it's the same thing with bad things happening. The more you focus on bad shit happening, the more it feels like bad shit happens, because the thing happens, and then you spend 6 more days complaining and focusing and thinking about it. And then guess what? Then another bad thing happens. Oh, it just all happens to me all the time. The last bad thing happened 7 days ago. You had some great stuff in those 7 days. You're just not focusing on them, right? If 1 out of 7 days is bad, that's still a pretty good fucking hit rate, right? So the world isn't out to get you. You might not necessarily understand what you're going through in the current moment, but you've got to trust the process, and you've got to trust that, and you've got to have hope that on the other side, things will get better, because the more you think that things will get better, then the more they actually do.
Exactly. I think that is the power of hope, right? It's like, if I focus on what I can control and I do it, and I do it to the best of my ability, then tomorrow will be better than today. And I think that's what progression is at the end of the day. I look back at it, and it's like, I think a big thing that decreases our gratitude and abundance or abundance-based mindset is trying to control the uncontrollable. It's the fastest way to being a stressed, burnt out individual. I look back at COVID, and hopefully that word didn't trigger anyone in PTSD or anything like that just then. But like when I went through COVID, me and Liv's relationship was fantastic, and I looked at what I could control and what I couldn't control. And for me, it was a very it was a high time of uncontrol. 22 gyms, 100 staff, losing $50,000 to $80,000 a week. Okay, now that is a hectic time, but it's like I can't control everything. Okay, so I look at gratitude, and I look at where focus goes, your energy flows, and results show, as Jay said. I look, okay, what do have? Well, I have a wife that is absolutely amazing. I have 2 boys that at the moment I can give them more attention because they're at home more. You know, those in Melbourne were locked down for like a year, right? And within 5 kilometers of our house. So like we couldn't go anywhere. It was the craziest time. But I couldn't bring Victoria out of lockdown. I can't get people into my gyms because it was illegal. I focused on what we could do, and it was spending time, and I got in some of the best shape of my life during COVID. And it's not because I had like hours and hours to train, but I focused a little bit more on quick control, and I trained a bit more. I focused on my kids and I played with them. I focused on live, and I had that gratitude that well, what will be, and I can only control my business to a certain extent. And, you know, what will happen will happen. And I think so many of us, when we try and control things that are simply out of our control, that's when we get stressed, we get overwhelmed, we get angry. And also we have that scarcity mindset. Oh, the government's trying to, they probably are trying to screw you over, right? Like we have taxes upon taxes in Australia. Like we aren't built for the small business owner, but you control what you can and you play the hand you're dealt. And I think that's the biggest thing. And you play that hand the best of your ability. And I think that's another thing, because there's going to be challenges out there. Stop trying to change, you know, just stop trying to control things you have no way of controlling. Try and just show up being the best version of you. Understand that if you're currently walking through, you know, your version of hell, or your feet are on fire, then it will end, okay? This too will end. And if you're currently going through some amazing time right now, this too will end as well. So it's understanding that, because there's seasons for everything. And you just have to go, well, am I moving and am I living with gratitude? And if you feel like you don't have gratitude right now, it's like you fucking do. Right? One part of your life right now might not be like have this massive abundance and gratitude, but you can still focus on other aspects. You know, if you're currently separated with your partner, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going through shit right here, then focus on something else. Focus on your health and being grateful that, you know, you can move. Be grateful because there's always someone out there doing worse than you, right? So it's like, and they're also could be happier than you. So how are people doing worse than me, but they're happy? Because they're not focusing the same way you are. And I think that's always, it's like, you know, if I'm so frustrated with what's going on with my health. It's like, I can't afford this. Like, man, there's people walking 20 kilometers to try and get water. Right? Like I don't have to do that. I'm grateful that I can eat some mince and broccoli for dinner, right? Like there's always someone in a worse situation than you. So have gratitude for what you do have an abundance mindset that, you know, times good and bad will always pass as long as you're focusing on becoming better and showing up as the best version of you. And I think, like, again, as Jay said, like the world isn't out to get you guys. Right? So focus that you are always trying to show up and live in that place of gratitude, and it will move forward and you will live in a place of abundance moving forward.
100%. It's just all about controlling your focus. It's all about like one of my favorite questions to ask myself if I'm ever in one of those things, like, does this have to be true? And oftentimes it doesn't. And even if, you know, if you wanted to go down the route of like everything happens for a reason, even if some things weren't happening for a positive reason, if by believing that they were happening for a positive reason, it made your life better, is that not a fucking good thing? Like it's the ultimate like mental placebo effect. And the placebo effect is real because your body, you know, the more you believe something works, the more your body will work to make that happen. It's the same reason why when your wife says, oh, go get the Vegemite, you say you don't know where the Vegemite is before you even go look. You're like, oh, I can't see the Vegemite. It's right fucking there. But you've believed in your head so much, I have no idea where the Vegemite is. So even if it's there, you'll never find it. It's the same thing in terms of our body. And in terms of our mindset, looking at the placebo effect, looking at there's a great book called You Are the Placebo. I think it's by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And it's all about understanding that your brain and your mind has the power to, the more you believe something, the more it's going to be true for you. And the other thing is, like, if it is going to be beneficial for you, why the fuck not? Right? Like, oh yeah, but you know, what if this thing doesn't happen for a positive reason? Well, it's like, well then have it happen for a fucking miserable reason and continue to be miserable, right? Then that's your choice. But it's like, if someone wants to choose to believe something that, you know, let's say you just focus on, hey, this is going to lead me to a great opportunity. I've just got to overcome this obstacle. Like for me, I could choose to go, oh, I can't believe I hurt my back again. Like it's so shit, it happens again. It's like, all right, well, this is the time that's given me it found me this program that I'm really enjoying. That's really helping from a rehab perspective that I never would have found otherwise. It's been a great opportunity, and it's been a great step forward for me. And if you can look with that sort of a scope, and guess what? You'll tend to find better things. So just be more positive, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Look at look at the people's intentions, not just their actions, and your intentions, not just your actions, and just be aware of sometimes there's a bit of a dissonance between the two, from other people and also from yourself. And a good one is creating a space between your stimulus, and we talked about this before, between your stimulus and your response, not reacting out of an automatic reaction, not reacting, but taking a step, taking a pause and acting whenever something comes in, rather than just immediately going, oh, fuck, this is whatever, blowing your lid. Go, hang on, all right, let's take a step back, let's analyze, let's slow things down a little bit, because too many people just kind of react to life, and that's why they end up being reactive and having reactive results.
Exactly. I think the next thing is it's surrounding yourself with people who are doing better than you. And which is really like kind of controlling your environment. I think this is a big thing that most of us need to do to change our life, right? Like if we're in an environment that isn't nurturing us to become healthier, to become wealthier, to have better relationships, then we won't. So it's finding people. I always, as I've always grown my business, I always wanted to be the dumbest person in the room. So if your focus is to grow a business, or your focus is to get better at sales, or your focus is to get better at something, sometimes you'll have to pay to get into a room to learn the education where people are doing better than you, so you can learn how to do better yourself. Sometimes it's just purely being in that room where people are doing better than you. And then you go, wow, there's people just like me doing what I do, but they're doing it better, which means I can do it too. It's like this place of like common humanity, and it sort of takes away our limiting beliefs that we place upon ourselves. It's being around people who are healthier and fitter, and like, wow, they can fit this in. That means I must fit this in. So I can't make these excuses or blame people like I have been in the past. But also, if they are working harder, it gives us the capacity to go, well, I can work harder too. And if they're eating healthier, let's go out to dinner and they choose this meal, which is a healthier version of you. We start to change our habits because we want to fit in. Like as a human trait, we want to fit in. So if we're around people who are fitter, stronger, faster than us, and they eat better because they're fitter, stronger, and faster, then we will start to adopt their habits, right? It is what it is. The people, when you're in high school, there was different groups. And in the different groups, they all, one, wore similar clothes. They all talked a similar way. They use similar language as well. Now, that's because when we're inside a group, and when we look at high school, it's interesting because it's broken up into separate groups and it's easy to identify. But there's identifying marks inside those groups, and all of a sudden, everyone started talking, walking, wearing the same sort of stuff. That is the same as life. But if you're overweight, a lot of your friends will be overweight. Their movement will be similar. Their eating choices will be similar. The way they view health will be similar. So it's kind of break the mold and find a new group of people where you can rise to their level on the thermostat and start to adopt those behaviors. It's like the hack, right? If we want to learn a language, the fastest way to learn a language is not fucking Duolingo. It's just not. Yes, it will help you with 10 minutes a day. But the fastest way to learn the language is to move to the country, right, that speaks the language, because you have no other option but to speak that language and learn that language if you want to get by, right? So if you want to learn that language of health and fitness, the fastest way is to get in your environment where you have to talk and walk the language, and all of a sudden you'll get health and fit really fast. So it's like this immersion of people and an immersive environment which will change you fast. I think that is like finding new rooms where you need to become better, and constantly moving to that new room is one of the biggest things that people can do.
Exactly. It's the rising tide floats all ships. And when you've got enough people around you that lift you up, it's like you all lift each other up, and you become better, just as a symptom of being around these people and being around, because they also show you things that are things that are possible. Things that, I'd never thought of it from that perspective. People with just a higher level of thinking. You can tell the difference when you're at dinner with one group of people versus another, when the conversation is just kind of shit, just talking about random stuff or whatever. And then there's like, when you have some conversation like, fuck, this is some really good stuff. And this is stuff I never would have thought of. And it forces you to play at a higher level. And it's the same thing when you're in practice with, or you're playing, tennis with your kids versus you're playing, Andre Agassi or Roger Federer. Like, even no matter how bad you are at tennis, you will play much, much, much better against someone who's challenging you versus against, your kid who lobs it up and it never goes in, right? Like you don't have to try as hard. You don't have to stretch yourself mentally or physically or emotionally. Whereas when you surround yourself with those people, yes, it's going to be a bit of a stretch, but it'll be something that forces you to play at a higher level, which I think most people tend to actually appreciate once they've lived in that space.
Agree. And it's exactly the same reason when we're looking at running with our kids, like for Jax, I pace him, right? I pace him to become faster and faster. I make sure he's holding the pace, because if not, he'll start to drop back because he's not getting pushed to stay inside his comfort zone. I know he can run the pace, and all of a sudden he holds the pace, and then he gets proud that he held the pace and hit the goal and all the rest of it. All we're doing is we're trying to find new environments for people to, inverted commas, pace you in the aspect of your life where you want to become better. So it's like trying to use that analogy and take that in. It's like, where do you need a pacer, in your life, right? Like I think look for it, understand it. And those paces, it could be skill acquisition. It could be just purely accountability. Or it could be just like being inside a culture where people are doing better, so you do better as well, because that is the standard, because they have a different standard. And I think that is a big thing. The last one, guys, for today is like living with humility. I think this is a habit that we all need. You don't know everything, which is probably why you're listening to this podcast. Maybe you're trying to learn something, or you want trying to immerse yourself in a different, way of thinking. There's always other perspectives than the one you hold. You need to walk a mile in other people's shoes. Just because you see something one way doesn't mean it isn't that way. It's just you see it the way through the lens, the glasses that you're wearing from the past that you have. And it's like understanding that there's this constant never-ending improvement. It's like, I don't know everything, and I want to learn more each and every single week so I can be better. And we can learn from every single person out there. It's not having this ego where it's like, I am the best, I know everything. It's like, no, I don't care who you are. I want to learn from you, because everyone has value. And I think that is something that we all need to work on, myself included, everyone else. It's like having that humility for us to constantly be progressing.
Well, it's just the realization that you don't know everything. And like, it's true. Like I've said this time and time again. It's like, if you knew everything, like you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. You wouldn't be, doing the things that you're doing. You would have all the fucking, like, no one has all the fucking answers. The more you learn, the longer I spent in this space, the more you learn, the more you realize that there is to learn. The more you know you don't know. And you're just like, oh, holy shit, there's this whole world out there of stuff that I just don't know and don't understand. But this is the biggest reason why we get defensive, or we get cranky and just like, usually a bit standoffish, especially with partners as well. It's like when you feel like you should know everything, or you feel like you should be, like, you're just not humble enough to go, yeah, look, I made a mistake here, or I messed up, or I let you down. And it's like just admitting that to yourself, and rather than getting defensive, just realizing, hey, this is actually what I'm feeling here, and being humble enough to know when you've made a mistake, or when you've messed up, rather than try and get defensive about it. And it's the same thing with people that jump on the program as well, and then partway through they stop doing things. They're like, oh, it didn't work for me. It's like, well, you've got to be humble enough to admit that you didn't do the work, and that you didn't do any of the plans, and you didn't put in the effort that was required, and it just wasn't a priority for you right now. So when it comes to just being humble, living with humility, it's not about putting what is it? It's not about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less.
That definitely a great way to put it. And I think that humility, and I think that sort of couples in with vulnerability as well. You have to have the two. Like when we look at humility, when we're looking at relationships, it's being vulnerable enough to share your emotions, and being humble enough to understand that, I don't have all the answers, and sometimes I'm wrong. I think that's a key to relationships as well, guys. But for us, if you can do these 10 things that we talked about today, there was like prioritizing your health, following a schedule, reflecting weekly, or reflection in general, living with gratitude and abundance, having goals, surrounding yourself with people, or changing your environment, being in an environment of people with higher standards, living with humility. I think if we can do these things here today and we can sort of take them into our life, then we can all become better. And we can always use that philosophy of Kaizen, which is like 1% better every week or every day or every month, whatever it is, but we're progressing forward towards a better life. And if you do want, or if you are stuck and you do want to live with a bit of humility and you want help to get where you are to where you want to be, because maybe you don't have all the answers, go to fit-dad.club and you can book in a call. We can talk about, what's holding you back. We can talk about maybe what your constraints are. And we can show you how to lose that 10, 20, 30 kilos and get to the best version of you so you can have more energy with your kids and for your partner and for yourself. So that's fit-dad.club. Book in a call. We'll have a chat. If you want to rate the podcast, share it with a friend, review it, leave a comment. If you want this podcast topic to be done on anything specific as well, like let us know. And we're happy to help out and do some work on a podcast that you want to listen to. But that's it for me today. Jace, do you have anything else you want to share?
People.
That's it, guys. And we'll chat to you next week. See you guys.